Around half of business executives believe that international transactions will become more difficult in the coming 2 years, according to the survey conducted by the EIU on our behalf. Financial services, in particular, voiced this concern. It's likely the volume and indeed uncertainty of international regulation that is the driver of this concern for those institutions. Indeed, they're having to invest far greater percentages of their internal resources to deal with such cross-border regulation. The biggest concern, however, is still the state of the global economy, according to 53% of our survey respondents. This rises to 60% among companies in Western Europe, with uncertainty driven by the instability of the euro. All hints that there will be a turning off of the taps by governments in the near future have shown that that shakes the market every time. And while there has been some growth and recovery, which has increased optimism, there are still some very real concerns about the health of the European economy, compromising the ability and confidence to do business across borders. There are some glimmers of hope in cross-border investment. Faced with persistent difficulties in borrowing from banks, corporates have been forced to turn to the international capital markets, fueling a rise in high-yield bond offerings and indeed investment across borders. Ultimately, more regulation is likely, so companies looking to operate internationally need to do the relevant due diligence and be aware that compliance must be taken seriously. While it's a heavily regulated environment, at the end of the day, there is no scope for businesses to grow if they don't consider expanding internationally and into other markets.
Over the last 5 years, the impact of the financial crash has rippled across the world, causing tough economic conditions and also some stern government responses. As a result, our latest Business Across Borders report, conducted by the Economist Intelligence Unit, shows almost half of senior business leaders expect cross-border trade to become more difficult in the next 2 years. 55% say that the prime reason will be the economic climate, ahead of domestic or international competition, and also ahead of regulation, with just 19% citing the latter as a barrier to business. However, regulation is an issue of concern to one sector in particular. The rise of resource nationalism and protectionism is a big concern for energy and natural resources executives. This phenomenon is not just found in emerging economies keen to avoid perceived exploitation of their natural resources, for example in Africa or Latin America, but also in developed countries such as Canada and Australia, which are keen to protect their commodity reserves for the public good. Such political threats and the emergence of unpredictable spot volatility in countries like Egypt, Turkey, Brazil have also made lenders more cautious. As a result, we're starting to see alternative sources of finance emerge, often from other businesses operating in the same sector, where they're keen to support market growth and are more informed about the risks involved. There are also attempts to secure new free trade zones between Europe and North America and also in Latin America, which will improve trading conditions. The EU-USA trade agreement is set to be agreed in 2014, and that's at a time when the BRIC economies are collectively likely to be slowing down. In the meantime, there are several things businesses can do to improve their chances when operating in foreign markets. First, put the traditional form of due diligence in ahead of the investment. Second, constantly monitor activity in your target market, particularly in today's climate of unexpected instability in emerging markets. And third, where possible, expand into several regional areas or secure several sources of supply rather than putting all your eggs in one basket. By taking some of these steps, businesses can smooth out the speed bumps to successful international investment.